Okay, guys and girls, how you doing? This is video 3 in the series of how to draw this room in 1-point perspective. If you have not catched any of the earlier videos, you're going to want to go back and check those out. In video 1, we made this basic structure for the room. In video 2, we learned how to do the bricks. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to make this tile floor using 1-point perspective. This is a very old optical illusion. It was invented in the Renaissance. It just uses a vanishing point, and things that go further away from the viewer in space tend to get smaller. So the vanishing point kind of helps us make these things get smaller. So for this, you're going to need your ruler and a pencil. And we're going to start out by making some lines that go downwards on this tile floor. These are going to end up being diagonal because they're going to go back to the vanishing point. Again, if you want to keep your tiles nice and straight and consistent, and if you have little measurement marks on your ruler, you can always go and mark on your paper how wide you want each tile to be. For example, if I consistently make a little mark at each inch, then all of my tiles are going to start off at the same size and they'll be nice and consistent. If you do not have that option available because you don't have a ruler, you just use a straight edge, then you can just eyeball it as best as you can and try and keep it as even as possible. Okay, after I have these little marks here, I'm going to connect each of these little marks to my vanishing point. My vanishing point is right here. It kind of got lost a little bit when we were drawing the bricks, but it's still there. I need to line up my ruler and make sure it touches both the vanishing point and my little tick mark that I made. And then I'm going to draw a nice line that starts where the floor is and goes right off the page. I don't want to draw through my bricks. I just spent a whole, the whole video drawing bricks. I don't want to draw on top of them. I want to keep them nice and neat. Okay, so there's my first diagonal. I'm going to do the same thing for the second diagonal. I'm going to line up my ruler so that it touches the vanishing point and this tick mark at the bottom. And I'm going to draw a diagonal line that starts where the floor starts and goes right off to the edge of the paper. And as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing now that I had to add another mark here because I went every inch and I started on the edge of the paper. So I'm going to go and add from the very corner of my paper to my vanishing point. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep following these tick marks, lining them up to the vanishing point, and drawing that diagonal line on the floor. You don't want to rush this. You want to go nice and slow and careful. Make sure that your ruler is not sliding around on you, so you get a nice exact line. The slower and more carefully you do this, the better your picture is going to turn out because you're taking your time, you're not making sloppy mistakes, you have nice straight lines. That's really going to help the optical illusion work. You're going to notice that as you cross the halfway point, your diagonal lines are going to start shifting and going in the opposite direction. Okay, you've got to be careful. Make sure your ruler's not sliding around on you. Okay, and for my last tick mark, it's going to be the edge of this paper right here. And there it is. Okay. At this point, if you don't want a tile floor, maybe you want a wooden plank floor, you could still use this to create your wooden planks. You have these planks and they're all coming back at angles, and it still creates that 1-point perspective. If you want to make a tile floor, you are going to start by just drawing nice, straight, horizontal lines that go back into space. And as you're drawing these lines further and further away, they're going to get closer and closer together. For example, when we look at this picture, Look how wide the space between this line and this line is, and compare it to this line and this line. They get closer together as they move further away so that they appear smaller. So I want to make sure that my next one is just a little bit smaller. The next one, even smaller than that. See how they're getting closer and closer together? It's going wide, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller. And eventually they're going to be so small, it looks like they disappear into space. All right, when you're coloring this, you want to add that pattern to it. So it's a checkerboard pattern that helps with the tile floor. But it's totally up to you, and it depends on what kind of floor you want. There's all different types of textures and things available in the game if you ever checked out the game before. Okay, so that's our third video. We made our tile floor. We did our brick wall. Coming up next, we're going to learn how to do the wooden plank wall over here on the side. So stay tuned.